The first shot rang through the canyon before sunrise. The cowboy dropped to one knee in the dirt, blood spreading slowly across his coat, while his horse screamed and disappeared into the fog. Somewhere above him, hidden between the dark rocks, men were laughing. Thought the devil of Red Creek would fight longer than that. Another bullet smashed against the stone beside his head. He tried reaching for his revolver, but his right hand barely moved. Blood poured from his shoulder. His breathing grew heavier by the second. 5 bounty hunters. That's how many had followed him into the canyon.
Now only one remained alive, and the last one was coming down to finish the job. Heavy boots crunched against the gravel. The cowboy lifted his eyes slowly. The bounty hunter smiled. "You know how much your head is worth?" The cowboy spat blood into the dirt. "Not enough." The hunter cocked his shotgun. "You killed 20 men in Texas. They tried first. You robbed military gold. Government stole it before I did." The hunter laughed once. "People say you don't fear death." The cowboy looked him dead in the eyes. "I don't." The shotgun lifted toward his face. Then, bang. The hunter's head snapped sideways. He collapsed instantly. Silence returned to the canyon. The cowboy blinked slowly, confused. Someone else stood above the rocks holding a rifle. A girl. Long, dark coat. Dust-covered boots. Sharp eyes colder than winter. She walked down carefully, never lowering the rifle. The cowboy frowned weakly. "You with them?" "No." "Then why save me?" She stopped a few feet away. "Because if they killed you," she said quietly, "I'd never get my money." Before he could answer, darkness swallowed him whole. When he opened his eyes again, rain hammered against wooden walls. He reached for his gun immediately. Pain exploded through his shoulder. "You move again," the girl said from across the room. "You'll tear the stitches." The cowboy looked around carefully. Small cabin, fire burning low, storm outside. No horse, no weapons nearby. The girl sat beside the window cleaning his revolver like she owned it. "You took my gun. You were unconscious. Still my gun. You should be thanking me." He tried sitting up slowly. "Depends. On what? Whether you plan to kill me after I heal."
She smirked slightly without looking at him. "If I wanted you dead, I'd let the hunters finish it." The cowboy studied her carefully. Young, maybe 23, but her eyes looked older than his. "What's your name?" he asked. "Claire." "Just Claire. Just alive." He almost smiled at that. "And you?" she asked. "You know who I am. People tell stories. Most are true." She finally looked at him directly. "Ethan Cross," she said quietly. "The butcher of Red Creek." The room became silent again. Most people feared saying his name aloud. Claire didn't. Interesting.
"You don't look scared," Ethan said. "I've seen worse men than you." "No," Ethan replied softly. "You haven't." For 3 days, the storm trapped him inside the cabin. Claire changed his bandages, cooked, barely slept, and asked strange questions. Not about his crimes, about his past. "You ever love someone?" she asked one night. Ethan stared into the fire. "Once." "What happened?" "She died." Claire stayed quiet. "How?" "She trusted the wrong man." Something flickered in Claire's face after he said that. Something guilty. But it vanished quickly. On the 4th morning, Ethan could finally stand again. Claire handed him back his revolver. "You heal fast." "I had practice." She watched him load the weapon carefully. "You heading back to Red Creek?" "Maybe." "They'll kill you there." "They've been trying for years." Claire hesitated before speaking again. "There's something you should know." Ethan looked up. "The governor put a special bounty on you yesterday." "How much?" 10,000. Even Ethan paused at that.
$10,000 could make desperate people dangerous. You thinking about collecting it? He asked calmly.
Claire stared at him for a moment, then smiled faintly. If I was, she said, you'd already be dead. By sunset, they were riding together through the desert. Ethan still didn't fully trust her. Truthfully, he trusted nobody. But Claire fascinated him. She handled a horse like someone raised around outlaws. She shot with military precision. And sometimes, when she thought Ethan wasn't looking, sadness crossed her face so deeply it almost looked painful. Near midnight, they reached a town called Hollow Creek. The moment Ethan entered the saloon, conversations died instantly.
A drunk man near the bar whispered, "That's him." Another backed away slowly. Claire noticed everything. People fear you. They should. The bartender's hands trembled while pouring whiskey. Ethan drank silently. Then the saloon doors opened. 3 men entered. Bounty hunters. Ethan recognized the leader immediately. Cole Mercer, a killer famous for skinning people alive near the border. Cole grinned widely. "Well, looks like I found my retirement." Every hand in the saloon moved near a weapon. Claire slowly reached beneath her coat. Ethan didn't even turn around.
"You should leave," he said quietly. Cole laughed. "You're wounded, outnumbered, and worth 10 grand. Ethan finally looked back at him. Last warning. Cole drew first. Big mistake. The saloon exploded into gunfire. Ethan shot one man through the throat before his chair even hit the floor. Claire fired twice from beside the stairs. Another hunter collapsed screaming. Cole barely managed to dive behind a table. People ran everywhere. Glass shattered. Smoke filled the room. Then, silence. Cole stumbled toward the exit, bleeding heavily from his stomach. Before escaping, he pointed at Claire.
"You think he doesn't know?" Cole coughed. Ethan narrowed his eyes. "Know what?" Cole smiled through blood. "Ask her who hired the first hunters." Then he collapsed dead. The room went completely silent. Ethan slowly turned toward Claire. She looked pale. Too pale. "Claire," he said carefully. She didn't answer. "Who hired them?" Her hand tightened around the revolver. Finally, she whispered, "I did." Ethan stared at her without emotion. The air between them became ice cold. "You hired bounty hunters to kill me. I needed money. How much?" $5,000. Ethan laughed softly. Not amused. "And after they failed, I changed my mind." "Why?" Claire looked away. "Because you weren't what they said." Ethan stepped closer slowly. "You know what happens to people who betray me?" "Yes." "Then why are you still here?" Claire finally met his eyes. "Because I'm tired of running." For a second, Ethan considered shooting her right there. Every instinct told him to. Trust gets men killed. He learned that years ago. But something stopped him. Maybe because she saved his life. Maybe because she saw fear in her eyes for the first time. Or maybe because he was becoming weak.
He hated that possibility most. "Get on your horse," he said coldly. Claire blinked. "You're letting me leave?" "No," Ethan replied. "You still owe me." "For what?" "My bullet's still inside your bounty hunter." Days later, they reached Blackwater Valley. Claire became quieter after the confession. Ethan became harder to read. Neither trusted the other anymore, but neither walked away. That night, while camping near the cliffs, Claire finally spoke again. "The money wasn't for me." Ethan stayed silent. "My younger brother owes gambling debts in New Orleans. Dangerous people took him."
You expect sympathy? No. Good. Claire stared into the fire. But I expect understanding. Ethan looked at her carefully. You love him? He's all I have left. That answer stayed with Ethan longer than he wanted. Around midnight, horses approached. Too many. Ethan instantly stood. Get down. Riders emerged from the darkness surrounding the camp. At least 15 men, all armed. Their leader stepped forward slowly. Governor Reed's private militia. Well now, the captain smiled. Looks like Miss Claire delivered exactly what we paid for. Ethan turned sharply toward her.
Claire looked horrified. No, I didn't tell them. Save it, Ethan growled. The captain laughed loudly. Governor said the girl might grow a conscience. That's why we followed her. Claire stepped toward Ethan desperately. I swear I didn't know they were here. Ethan's face hardened. That tiny, fragile trust between them finally shattered. The captain lifted his rifle. Bring us Ethan Cross alive. Gunfire erupted instantly. Ethan moved like death itself. Fast, precise, merciless. Men dropped before they understood what happened.
Claire fought beside him desperately, shooting militia soldiers off their horses, but they were too many. A bullet struck Ethan's side. Another hit his leg. Still, he kept fighting. Finally, Claire grabbed his arm. We need to run. They escaped into the canyon while bullets chased them through darkness. By dawn, both horses collapsed from exhaustion. Ethan could barely walk anymore. Claire helped him into an abandoned church near the cliffs. Blood soaked his shirt again. You're dying, she whispered. Not today. You need a doctor. I need sleep. Claire cleaned his wound silently.
Her hands trembled. After a while, Ethan spoke weakly. Why'd the governor want me alive? Claire froze. You know why? No, Ethan said slowly. But you do. She looked trapped. Cornered. Finally, she whispered. Because you killed his son. Ethan frowned. I never killed any governor's son. Yes, you did. When? Red Creek, 3 years ago. Ethan searched his memory carefully. Then suddenly remembered. A young soldier during the Red Creek massacre. Barely 18. Scared. Pointing the rifle with shaking hands. Ethan shot him during the ambush. He was trying to kill me.
He was trying to surrender, Claire replied. Silence. Ethan's expression darkened. I didn't know. But the governor did. Claire looked down sadly. That boy was my fiancé. The words hit harder than bullets. Ethan stared at her. Everything suddenly made sense. The bounty, the betrayal, the strange sadness in her eyes. Claire swallowed painfully. I wanted revenge, she admitted. At first. Then why save me? Because after traveling with you, tears filled her eyes. I realized you weren't a monster. Ethan looked away, toward the broken church windows. You were wrong.
Outside, horses approached again. The militia found them. Claire grabbed her rifle instantly. There's too many. Ethan slowly stood, despite the pain. You can still leave. Claire shook her head. No. Why? Because they'll kill you. Ethan gave a tired smile. They should. The church doors exploded open. Gunfire thundered everywhere. Wood shattered. Glass rained down. Ethan fought like a wounded wolf cornered by hunters. Claire stayed beside him the entire time. One by one, the militia fell, but Ethan kept bleeding. Eventually, only the captain remained alive. Claire aimed at him.
The captain laughed weakly.
You really choosing him over revenge? Claire's hands trembled. Ethan quietly lifted his revolver toward the captain, too. Then something unexpected happened. The captain smiled at Claire. You think Governor Reed won't kill your brother anyway? Claire froze. What? He already did. The world seemed to stop. Claire lowered the rifle slowly. No, your brother died 2 weeks ago. The captain laughed cruelly. Governor never planned to pay you. Tears filled Claire's eyes instantly. The captain reached for his hidden pistol. Bang!
Ethan shot him through the forehead. Silence. Claire stood motionless. Broken. Empty. Ethan slowly approached her. For the first time since they met, he spoke gently. I'm sorry. Claire looked at him with tears running down her face. I betrayed you for nothing. Ethan didn't answer. Because sometimes there is no answer. Only regret. Hours later, they buried the dead behind the church. The sun began setting red across the valley. Claire sat near the cliff edge staring at the horizon. Ethan walked toward her quietly. The governor won't stop hunting us. Claire wiped her eyes. Us.
Ethan sat beside her. You still planning to betray me again? A tiny smile appeared through her sadness. No. Good. Silence settled between them. Then Claire asked softly, If you could change the past, would you? Ethan looked toward the fading sun. All the time. She nodded slowly. So would I. Far away, thunder rolled across the desert. Another storm coming. Ethan stood and offered her his hand. Claire looked at it for a long moment before taking it. Together they walked toward the horses. 2 broken souls. A murderer and the woman who tried to destroy him. Neither innocent.
Neither forgiven, but still alive. And somewhere beyond the desert horizon, Governor Reed was waiting, which meant their story was far from over.